Hello my friends, I'm Larkin and I am so excited about this class in which I'm going to show you how to do a full body massage on yourself just using 2 yoga blocks. Make sure to give this video a quick like and subscribe to my channel before we get started, and be sure to have your 2 blocks nearby. If you don't already own blocks, you can get them on my website with a special extra bonus video from me. First thing we're going to do is have one of the blocks on the long way along the mat, just like this, and have the other block nearby because you'll need it in just a moment. Now take your hand to your shoulder and find that kind of meaty place in your trapezius muscles where someone would massage you if they were doing this, right? Find that point, find it on both sides, and then that point is what you want to have in the block, touching the block corners. So you're going to need to sort of navigate yourself there. So come to lie down on your block. The block is between the shoulder blades. Good. And then there's a restorative version of this pose, which is lovely, where you just kind of hang out here. But we're not doing that. We're actually going to massage ourselves. So see if you can get the corners of the block lined up in that meaty trapezius tissue. It looks pretty good for me right about here. I'll make sure you can see. And then from here, I want you to press the soles of the feet into the floor. Lift your seat up, and then let your head fall back and feel the corners of the block pressing into those points where someone's thumbs would be if they were massaging your traps. And see if you can feel that. You need to lift your seat up off the floor. And then if you want to make it a little more relaxing, you can take block number 2 over here and place it the highest height under your sacrum. Okay, from here, we're gonna make some circles with our elbows. So make sure the elbows are bent in like a goalpost shape. And you're just taking the elbows in circles. And if you're not feeling anything, the block is probably too far down your back, like too close to your seat. So you're not getting the edges, the corners of the blocks, really pressing into the traps the way you can be if you're with me here for this massage. Good. So you can take the elbows wide now to see what that feels like. Whew, this is really intense. So for me, the corner of the block now feels like someone's thumb pressing into the left and right trap. And if you're a man with a really broad back, you might have to do one side at a time. For me, I can get the corners of the block touching each side of my back. Good. And now let's take the arms overhead, so we're like working towards straightening the arms, but don't quite straighten them, and then rebend. That's good. Back to a goalpost shape. Again, take the fingers towards the wall behind you, so you're kind of just gliding, almost straighten the arms, and then rebend the elbows, take it back to your goalpost shape. You can always take a quick look at me if you need clarification. We'll just do 2 more like this. Extending the arms behind us. Whew. And gently rebending. Good, last one. Nice. And then from here, I'm just going to invite you to kind of go wild. So maybe just take the elbows in some circles again, but free form this time. So not in a synchronous movement, just sort of feeling what feels good on the block. You might want to take the arms straight and crisscross them. Take them elbows wide and crisscross the arms again. So there's no right or wrong here. I'm just trying to give you some ideas of how you can really wedge the corners of that block into the traps. And if you need more pressure, right, you can lift your seat off the block and kind of shimmy and wiggle around here to make the massage happen. I'm going to take a couple more circles with my elbows, and then I'm going to come down. Of course, you can pause the video and stay and hang out here longer if you found a really juicy spot that you want to stay in. Last 2 breaths. Full inhales and exhales is really going to help relax the tissue in the back here. Lift the pelvis, take that block, that second block out from underneath you if you were using it. Slowly lower down. Use the elbows to safely press yourself up, off. Whew, and we'll just rest for a moment here. Breathe in. Breathe out. Good. Once more. Good. Exhale all the way. Okay, next fun block magic trick is that we're going to come into shoulder stand and then use the block underneath the sacrum, kind of like we did in the last one, but we're going to end up doing some different kinds of things. So lie on down on your back, take the legs overhead, and come into your bridge pose. Make sure the blocks are nearby so you're going to be able to touch them and access them when you need them in a minute. So shimmy the shoulders underneath one another. So the shoulder blades are drawing towards one another. Your hands are in a little fist. Good, and then you're just going to make sure you have that block. The hardest part is finding the positioning of the block. So you want your sacrum to land on the block at the highest height. It's got to be the highest height. And you might need to try it a couple times in order to find that place that feels safe. And if you don't feel safe, just place the hands on the ground and see if you can just find a place that feels stable and good for you. Here we are in a little sort of legs up the wall without a wall variation. From here, I want you to sort of visualize doing the matrix. So you're gonna bend the right knee on a diagonal and let the left leg go long. Good, and just see what that feels like. You can always kind of hold your block and feel what's going on if you don't feel safe, and then switch it to the other way. This is kind of like doing skandasana, or side lunges in the air. Good, let's do that 2 more times. So you're bending the right knee and lengthening the left leg. And look for sort of the still points where you can just breathe and hang out for a moment in your deepest range of motion. Don't rush. Notice if your legs are flying all over the place really fast. We don't want that, especially because we're pretty, I don't want to say precariously balanced on the block, but you know, it's definitely a little wobbly. Okay, good. Nice. And now bring both legs back up to the sky. So that was our little matrix skandasana move, so you can play with that. Flex the feet now. You're just going to open the legs into your straddle shape. So you can always bend the knees, and you're kind of doing happy baby in the air. Or you can have the legs straight, toes are flexed back. Let's take 5 breaths here, wherever you are. Trust the block to the best of your ability. So just let the legs get really heavy, let gravity win. Good. 2 more breaths. Slowing your breathing down. Good, and now we're going to combine the matrix and this happy baby straddle and everything together. I just want you to make your own movements and circles here. So you can use your hands and biceps pressing into the floor for stability. Just see if you can find some interesting points where you're feeling a stretch, where you want to hang out. I really like having one knee going in a diagonal and the opposite foot stretching away from that diagonal. Good. 2 more breaths. Just experiment on your own, just experimenting with these ranges of motion. Just imagine you're moving in super slow motion. And then we'll have both legs pointing up towards the ceiling once again. Just take a deep breath. Good, find your stability. And then next thing, I want you to pull the right knee down and in, and you're gonna let the left leg go long. So this is a psoas stretch now. See if you can. For some of you, your left leg might not touch the ground, that's okay. For those of you who the left leg does touch the ground, the next step, if it feels safe and you feel safe on your block, is to take the hands around the right knee, pull the right knee into the chest, and then kind of creep the left leg, the left heel, farther away from you best you can along the floor. So that left heel is kind of energetically reaching farther away from you. And 3 deep breaths here. So we're looking for a big stretch in the front of this left leg, left psoas. Good. And then take the left hand to the floor and maybe experiment with pulling the knee a little bit, instead of straight down, a little bit out towards your right shoulder. And then see what that feels like. Keep the left toes pointed, active, reaching away from you for the deepest stretch. Good, and then we'll switch, but we'll do it slowly. So take the hands down alongside you for support, and now draw the left knee in. Once it's in, you'll extend the right leg out. If you don't touch the floor, no big deal. You'll just stay here, let gravity really have the right foot. If the right foot does touch the floor, you're pointing the toes, you're thinking of the right toes and heel really extending farther away from you best you can. And then level 2, 3, you can take the hand around the left knee, maybe the left hand, maybe the right hand as well, and just begin tractioning the left knee back towards your face as you point the right toes forward. 3 deep breaths. Option to take the right hand down to the floor to stabilize you and pull the left knee out to the left. Good. Keep both toes pointed, flexed, active. Nice. And then come on back up, legs high to the sky. Okay, so level 1 at this point, I want you to just make circles with the ankles, just hang out here with this great passive inversion and enjoy this, or you can do any of our sort of like matrix stretches and hang out in any of these. Level 2, 3, adding on only if you're pretty flexible. I'm going to offer you an additional variation to what we just did. I'm going to show the left side first because it'll be easier for you to see. So lower the right leg down. Good. Pull the left knee into the chest, same as where we were before. But this time bend the right knee so the right knee points towards the ceiling and the sole of the foot is on the floor. This is going to stabilize you. From here, see if you can hold the pinky toe side of the left foot and kind of just nestle the foot under for what's going to be a really deep quad stretch. Now that you have that tucked under, pull the right knee back into the chest for a super, hopefully deep quad stretch. If you're not feeling it, what I need you to do is think of lengthening the left knee forward and down. And maybe you need to readjust the position of the foot. But usually it's your own energy of thinking of shooting that left knee, aiming it down and forward, and then pulling the right knee back. That's going to help this be a nice quad stretch for you. Let's take 5 breaths here. Level 1, you can always just come back into the version of this that has the legs straight, or just stay with the legs high to the sky, or come on down and rejoin us. Notice if you're not activating the quad, if you're just hanging out. Press the top of that left foot into the floor and angle the knee down. Good, and then we'll switch. So be careful how you do this, right? So I want you to take the hands down. First, take the right sole of foot to the floor. Good. Bring the left knee into the chest. Give it a squeeze, and now set it to the floor as well. So we're very stable, right? This is just supported bridge. And then we'll come into it on the other side. So pinky toe, grab the pinky toe with the right hand, flip the foot. So you're in that nice quad stretch position. And you might notice one quad is a lot tighter than the other. And you can always just stay here, right? You don't need to move on if this is feeling nice, a nice quad stretch for you. If you need to intensify the stretch, My level 2, 3 folks, this is where you're gonna bring the left knee back into the chest and maybe draw it down with the left hand. And maybe the right hand as well if you feel stable. Angle the right knee now forward and down. Notice if you're tensing in the shoulders or the jaw. Keep that relaxed. And last 2 breaths. Keep your breathing really full, really deep. Good. Final breath. Nice. Let's take both legs up to the sky one last time. Good. Flex the feet, maybe open to your straddle as a final step. Nice. And then we'll gently take toes to the sky and then soles of feet to floor. Lift the pelvis up. Take that block out from underneath you and just really slowly now lower 1 vertebra at a time to the ground. Nice. Now that you're down here, I just want you to windshield wiper your knees from side to side. A lot of stuff just went on. Good. Just sort of let everything ease out. And then once you have the knees pointing to the left, take the left foot, hook it over the right knee, and we're going to get a nice stretch for the outer right IT band here. You can take the arms wide in a goalpost shape. Hear your breathing. And breathe big into the belly here. Good, and then we'll switch it. So let that right knee release. Point both knees to the right now, and you'll take the right foot over the left knee to hook the left knee down. And then it's okay for the seat to pop off the floor a little bit here because we're going for that sort of outer hip stretch. Good. Nice. Draw the knees into the chest. And curl up into a little ball. And then you can just rock and roll on the spine. Little massage to come on up. Final block magic trick here. Make sure you have both your blocks in front of you, and I'm going to ask you to back up and come into your wide-legged straddle. So for some of you that might look, like knees bent. You might want to sit up on something like a blanket or a bolster or a pillow. So you can always prop your seat up, right? So you're sitting up higher. That's going to help you. Otherwise, come into the straddle. We're going to do a diaphragm release. And make sure that you're on your mat. So you want to kind of back up and have the blocks in front of you. So you're towards the back edge of your mat. What we're going to do is we're going to take the block and same thing, using the corners of the block. I want you to wedge the corners of your block. Maybe first feel here. Feel where your rib cage, this hollow part where you can kind of find your hands, right? So you have a rib cage here and a rib cage here. Find that middle area. And that middle area is where you're going to want to place the block. So it's as if your hands could scoop underneath that area, which would feel really good because that's releasing the muscles in your diaphragm. The diaphragm is a muscle, remember. You're going to wedge the block under there and then fold over it, and it's going to be a lot of pressure. So obviously you don't want to do this if you're pregnant. You don't want to do this if you just ate a big meal. But assuming it feels okay, it's the morning or later at night or whatever, I'm going to invite you to fold forward. Couple options. You can have the hands on the floor. Make sure the shoulders are relaxed. Option 2 is you can place the head on a block, which is going to be the nicest, most restorative, and the most intense version of this. And if you have 3 blocks at home, definitely feel free to pop this block up. So you could have another block under this block to make it higher. You could also put this block on pillows or books. And then relax the shoulders. Maybe turn the palms face up once you're there. breathe into the block. So let the block wedge itself inside your body. Keep the legs flexed and pretty active. You can choose to point or flex the feet. Just try to soften as much as you can in the ribs and in the belly. If you're feeling any sharp pain, adjust. But a little bit of a tingling, burning sensation, as long as it doesn't feel like sharp shooting pain, is expected here, is good. And that's just all the fascia sort of melting, unraveling. It'll feel really good when you come out of it. Try to slow down your breathing and make it as deep as possible here. Really important to not feel like you're fighting the block, but just to feel like you're allowing the block to melt into you more and more with every inhale and exhale. Again, a pulsing, sort of like that feeling of a heartbeat or a little bit of a Indian burn sensation is really normal. It's only the sharp shooting pain we want to back off from. Close the eyes, just think soften, soften, soften. Visualize this area underneath the block melting and softening with your breath. Good. Final breath. Big inhale. Receive the block on the exhale. Let's do one more like that. Big inhale. Receive the block. Let it melt in more on the exhale. Good. Gently press yourself up. Move slowly. Good. Whew. Just notice how this area of the body maybe feels different. Good. And then just come to sit, comfortable seated position. Take the backs of the hands on the knees. We'll just take a deep breath in together to close. So inhale. Exhale all the way through the nose. Again, deep breath in. Whew. Last thing, bring the legs together. We're coming into a bicep stretch in our child's pose. So just going to navigate your child's pose. If you need cushions under your seat in child's pose, just place those there. I want you to take the blocks like this in front of you. And what you're going to do is come with your elbows on the blocks and then melt into your child's pose. Bring the palms to touch. And then as you come into child's pose, you're just going to let the thumbs draw towards your shoulder blades. And the blocks here are tractioning your elbows up so that you can feel hopefully a really nice stretch in the biceps and in the underarms. Slow down your breathing. 3 breaths here. Maybe wiggle the hips from side to side. And then next thing, I want you to take the fingertips towards the ceiling. So you're making just a little half circle, or a quarter circle actually, if you think of the circle. Good, and then next thing, draw your fingers towards the ceiling. So the fingertips point straight towards the ceiling, palms are still fused together. Good, and then draw the thumb back to between the shoulder blades. So it should feel like you're just making a little arc and you're moving super slow. Take the fingers towards the ceiling once again.
Tractioning heavy with the blocks, elbows on the blocks. Breathe into the shoulder girdle and then take the fingers back so the thumbs rest on the shoulder blades or closest to that you can get. Last time. Press the palms together, fingers towards ceiling. Exhale, thumbs return to the space between the shoulder blades. And then stay here. 3 more breaths. You'll use your inhale to fill up the upper body. Exhale to let go and surrender more. Good. And then to gently come out, you'll just take your hands to the blocks and just to integrate everything we did with this little massage full body practice. We're just going to take one down dog, but we're using the blocks. Why not? Press your hands into the blocks, curl the toes under, and just press yourself back into your down dog so it won't be too intense. Press the torso towards the thigh bones here. Good, and then walk the feet towards the blocks. Press the fingers and palms into the blocks, get long. You can always take the blocks on the highest height. And exhale to fold. Good. Inhale, press into the blocks, get long. Exhale, fold. Feet are hip width apart. Knees can be bent if you need. Last one. Inhale, length. Good. Exhale, fold. Hang here, clasp opposite elbows, bend one knee and then the other, just sway from side to side. And as you're ready, just come back to a seat. Thank you so much for joining me for this fun practice. I hope you enjoyed learning the different things you can do with 2 blocks, and please come back to this video often and stay in these different setups that we explored longer on your own at home. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel, make sure that subscribe button is clicked, and leave me a comment down below. I'd love to hear how all these little block magic tricks variations went for you. From my heart to yours, namaste.